How did you teach your son to stand up to bullies? I was picking my son up from school when I noticed something off. He was quiet, staring out the window like he'd just witnessed a crime. I asked what happened. He mumbled, nothing. Classic kid deflection, but his backpack was unzipped. His shirt had a weird stain, and he looked like he'd been wrestling a bear. I pressed him. Finally, he cracked. There's this kid, Dylan. He keeps calling me names and pushing me in the hallway. My blood pressure spiked. I wanted to march into that school and have a very adult conversation with Dylan that would probably end with me in handcuffs, but I didn't. Instead, I sat him down at the kitchen table and said, all right, we're gonna fix this. He looked at me like I just promised to build him a rocket ship. I told him, next time Dylan says something, you look him dead in the eyes and say, cool story. Dylan, tell it again when someone cares. He blinked. That's it? That's it. Don't yell. Don't cry. Just say it like you're bored. The next day, I dropped him off and said, remember, confidence, eye contact, boredom. Hours later, I got a call from the principal. My heart sank. She said, your son had an incident with another student today. I braced for impact. She continued, Dylan called him a name, and your son responded with, cool story. Dylan, tell it again when someone cares, and then walked away. I held my breath. Your son turned around and said, buddy, I'm not the one. Move along. I was sweating now. She paused. Dylan hasn't bothered him since. In fact, Dylan's been unusually quiet all day. I exhaled like I'd been holding it since birth. So, is my son in trouble? No, but we wanted to make sure you knew what happened. Some parents called it verbal aggression. I said, ma'am, my son didn't threaten anyone. He just declined to participate in his own bullying. She laughed. That's a good way to put it. We'll keep an eye on things. When I picked him up, he had the biggest grin on his face. Dad, it worked. Dylan tried again at lunch and I just stared at him until he left. I high-fived him so hard I think I sprained his wrist. The best part? A week later, Dylan's mom approached me in the parking lot. She said, I heard your son stood up to Dylan. I braced for a confrontation. She smiled. Good. Dylan needed that. He's been acting out because his dad's been gone. And honestly, your kid handled it better than most adults would have. I didn't know what to say. She added, Dylan actually asked if they could be friends now. And you know what? They are. Turns out, some bullies just need someone to not be afraid of them. My son didn't fight back with fists. He just refused to be a victim. And Dylan, he comes over now, eats all my snacks and calls me Mr. Dad. I'll take it.